Hi guys! In this section we are talking about the area of circles. Just so you know, in the title I spelled circles wrong, so I fixed it here, but on your notes it says circles. So let's go ahead and take a look at the formula. Right here we have area equals pi times r squared. So we're using radius, not diameter, and we have to square it. All right, let's go ahead and use what we know about the formula for area to solve for this first circle. They are telling us ahead of time to use 22.7 for pi. This is because the radius is a multiple of 7. You're going to see in just a minute that when we have a multiple of 7 for a radius or a diameter, it helps to use 22.7 because it cancels things out perfectly. We know the formula is a equals pi times r squared. So we're going to plug in 22.7. I'm sorry, 22 over 7. And then I'm going to say times 7 squared. Now, instead of saying 7 squared is 49, I'm going to rewrite this and expand the squared terms. You're going to see why in a second. This is times 7 times 7. And we know that these are actually over 1, so I can cancel these two. Okay, what I end up with is 22 times 7, which if you do that on a calculator, okay, you will find that it's 154, but I'm just going to do it right here. This is 154, and our units in this case are centimeters squared. The reason is now we are multiplying the radius twice. So our units are actually centimeters times centimeters. Let's look at the next one. We have a diameter this time. Diameter equals 26 inches. We can't use diameter in this calculation, so we have to divide by 2 to get a radius. So we know that the radius is going to be 13 inches. That's what we'll plug in. So the area equals pi times 13 squared. And that's actually 13 inches squared. So let's just change that. There we go. That's a terrible way to write that. Okay, what we end up with is pi times 169. And if you do that on your calculator, go ahead and bust out your calculators. By the way, as you're showing your work, or as I'm showing my work on this, I'd like you to be following along with a calculator. So I'm keying in 169 times pi, and I am getting 530.93. I'm just going to round to the hundredths place, and the units are inches squared. Okay, pause the video. I'd like you to try and work on these two on your own problems. You need to show your work. Please make sure that you understand that for the first one, you're going to use pi as it is written, 3.14. And then for the second one, they're asking you to actually use 22 over 7 for pi. And again, that's because the diameter is 28. Now remember, that's a diameter, so you're going to have to think about that and change it to a radius when you actually solve. So again, pause the video and work these problems out, please. Okay, for this last example, we are trying to find the area of the orchestra pit. If you play in orchestra or band, you know that on some of the stages you've played in, there is an orchestra pit. It's a semicircular area just in front of the stage where they put the orchestra or the band. When you get up to high school, all of your high schools will have this. So the area is the same formula, A equals pi times r squared. But in this case, we have a diameter. They gave us that the diameter is 30 feet. We can't use diameter, so we're going to divide by 2. And that's going to give us a radius of 15 feet. Let's plug that in. So the area equals pi times 15 feet squared. Now I'm going to use my calculator. That is pi times 225 feet squared. And I'm going to multiply that times pi. times pi, I just did that on the calculator, to get 706.86 feet squared. There's the cat. There she is. She found me. But remember, we have a semicircle here, so we're not using the whole circle. We need to divide by 2. Okay, so don't forget that really important step. If you don't do that, then you're going to get the problem wrong. And here we go. The answer is 353.43, and the units are feet squared. Remember, anytime you have an area now, you're multiplying radius times radius with units, so your units are always going to be squared for area. Here's your last slide. You don't have to pause the video, you can end the video, but this is something that you are going to need to do on your own. Please make sure to show me the answers after you finish for the on your own 1, 2, which you did before, and also these two, 4 and 5. I want to point out that on both of these, they're giving you the semicircle. What you have here is a diameter, not a radius. So make sure that you change that to a radius when you're actually converting, or when you're actually using the formula. And then don't forget to divide by 2 at the end.